Hi everyone, welcome to the Pro Insight video series. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Nader. We are here to tackle real-world career challenges and share practical insights.
Each episode, we'll dive into important topics to help you navigate your professional journey.
Let's get started and help you thrive in your career.
Well, hello and welcome everybody. It's Matthew with Aspire Career Services. So this week's topic is going to be having difficult conversations with your boss, or how to have a difficult conversation with your boss. Of course, I'm joined with Nader, who's going to be answering these questions today. Are you ready to go, Nader?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. So the first question, Nader, is what are some key steps to take when preparing for a tough conversation with a challenging or unsupportive boss?
Great question. And we've all faced it before. A lot of people face it as well. If you have, and the definition of a challenging or unsupportive boss could be for a lot of factors, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're just going to discuss probably the subject matter of the question, which is steps to take.
Yeah.
If you have that type of boss, if you feel like that's the type of boss that you have, it's very, very important to prepare well for that conversation. And part of the preparation for the conversation is that you have to approach it with facts. So if you don't have facts, or if you approach that boss and say things like, I feel like, phrases like I feel like, or I have been experiencing this, or things that are not tangible, things that are not facts, then probably that boss is likely to be dismissive, and it's going to even be more challenging for you to state your case, because at the end of the day, this is what you want to do. You want to state your case with that boss or with that manager right there. That's one of the steps. I would say step number 2, for you to be prepared for that conversation, is to not just have the facts, but to also have the ideas and belief behind it. Because sometimes you would have the facts, you would have the numbers, you would have the performance, but you don't believe in what you're doing. And believe me, that feeling genuinely crosses to the person on the other side. So things like if you're sitting with them and you're stating your numbers or your facts or your performance metrics, and then they feel like this is not something that you don't want to do, or you're actually approaching the conversation for the sake of not improvement, just for the sake of challenging them, then in that case, they are definitely going to be very defensive with you. The third thing that I will say, like just a quick step to be ready for that conversation, is to actually approach it for the right reason. Because sometimes you will approach a conversation and you'll feel like, why am I even having this talk? What exactly do I want to get out of it? You have to ask yourself that question, is what do I want to get out of that conversation? Is it just to get on that person's nerves? Or is it just to challenge him? Or what exactly am I trying to get out of it? So you have to make sure that what you want out of it is actually something positive. So be prepared mentally, emotionally, with facts, doing it for the right reason. And lastly, if you say that that manager or boss is challenging or not supportive, the last thing that you want to do is to approach it with frustration. Because the minute that they feel that you're being aggressive, disrespectful, or some of them call it opinionated, they immediately will shut down. So be kind, be positive, be prepared with facts, do it for the right reasons. That's what I would say.
I love that. Especially with the emotion side of it, is that sometimes that steers us or prompts us to have a conversation just because we're upset.
Absolutely.
Because we're mad, we're frustrated, whatever those feelings are. So I would say, once again, here I go again, plug, but if you want to have a conversation with your boss that is challenging like that, first, have a mentoring session with us. We're going to help you get those feelings off your chest. You can even yell at us, and we'd be totally fine with that.
Absolutely.
We can pretend like we're your boss, and you can yell at us. It'll be fine. But do that first so you can process through those emotions and then follow the steps that Nader just went over with you. So,
absolutely.
Love it. Very good. All right, second question. How can professionals effectively communicate their performance concerns and expectations without coming across as confrontational?
Okay. Again, we mentioned the step of dealing with your frustrations first.
Yes.
Because obviously you're not having this conversation because you just want to have it. You're having it because there's something that you're unsatisfied with, something that you would like to see improve from that manager, from that. It could be things like being recognized for the work that you're doing, or maybe you have a workload, and we have spoken about workload before, and you want to communicate that, or unrealistic expectations. So to have the ability to communicate all of that, first you have to deal with your frustrations. So again, you have to deal with a mentor or a coach, or even yourself. If you sit down with yourself and feel like, okay, I'm going to go through this, but I cannot come across as aggressive or disrespectful, or even, as we said, opinionated. You have to sit and think. Give yourself some time first to sit and process that conversation a little bit before you actually approach it. So how to actually communicate it when you sit down? Basis should be respect.
Okay.
Second basis should be from a standpoint that you want to improve if you need to improve. Because sometimes your leader is a human being. Don't get me wrong. They are not an angel. They're not going to be able to see everything. So your goal is to have them, or try for them to see a different perspective of what you're doing. So the communication has to be from that standpoint. So if I'm sitting with you and I'm trying to get my point across, and I've already went over the conversation in my head, I'm mentioning the facts, I'm mentioning everything in particular to the subject matter, then, and you are still giving me the look or maybe the body language of like, okay, just keep talking.
Rolling the eyes.
Okay. Yeah. Then what I want to tell you is that this is something important to me. That's the point that I want to get across. And this is where communication comes in. To be able to communicate how you feel about it after you have mentioned your facts, and show them how important this is to you. Even ask them a question of like, is my improvement important to you or not? Would you like me to be a key player into your team or not? Because this is what I want as well. And I want to reach that by actually communicating that with you or telling you this. I'm trying to get my feelings, emotions, and facts across to you. And I don't want to be, a lot of people call it a problem child. No, I just want to be a key player on your team and to find my success.
Wow.
This is how to communicate and get your challenging or non-supportive leader attention.
Yeah, I love that. You communicated intentions, because often that's the thing we forget to communicate the most is, what is our intentions?
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, thank you, Nader. So that brings us to our third question. And our third question is, what strategies can you suggest for navigating discussions about career progression? So you want to get promoted when your supervisor is not particularly supportive.
Okay. There's a reason why your supervisor is not supportive in that manner. And again, it could be multiple reasons, but at this point, your supervisor does not see that you can actually make it to the next promotion. They don't see that. And we've already discussed like mentioning facts and being positive and being disrespectful and communicating your intentions.
Right.
But at the same time, what is the strategy at this point? What do I do in order to communicate to that leader that I want a career path? I want to get promoted. I want to get better and take the next step in my career. So obviously, they don't have an interest. But when you communicate your intentions to that leader, through that sit down that you're going to have with them, it has to be from the standpoint of help. Your leader is a human being and always strives on the feeling that they are needed. And sometimes we forget that, because if I am leading someone and I feel that that person doesn't need me, they don't come to me for any advice, they don't come to me for any guidance, I will feel like, obviously they don't want my support.
Sure.
And sometimes, and I'm not going to say that in a bad way, but sometimes we dig this own hole for ourselves.
Right.
We dig our own hole. We don't ask for the support, we don't clarify our intentions, and we don't ask for their help. So they kind of get the idea of like, well, they obviously don't need my support, so I'm going to stop giving it.
And sometimes it's because we're trying to show them that we can do it on our own.
Absolutely.
Because we want to be promoted. It's so, yeah.
Great point. You know what? You hired me for this. I'm going to take on that responsibility. I'm going to show you that I'm going to read like a real hard worker right here, and I'm serious about my job, and I'm going to take all that stress on my shoulders. And then you get burned out, and you don't ask for support.
Right.
So they get the point that you don't need support. So when you're sitting down, I would approach it, for example, if you are my manager right now and I want to advance in my career, one of the things that I will tell you is like, hey, look, I would like to move up in my career. I would like to get promoted to the next position, whatever the position is. Can you help me figure out a roadmap to get to this? Because I might have an idea myself, but I want to know what's inside my leader's brain. What is his, I would say, imagination of what that roadmap would be? Because most of the time it's going to be different than mine. And that is going to encourage them to think about like, okay, what can I do for this person in order to get that? And maybe, and I'll say this, they probably are not thinking that you are able to get this promotion at this point.
Right.
But once you ask for their help for a certain roadmap in order to get to this, same thing applies to raises as well. If you're asking for a pay increase, or if you're asking for a raise, I would talk to your leader and ask them like, hey, can you help me figure out a roadmap how to get to that level of pay? And they will, at that point, they will feel needed. And once a leader feels needed, they start acting. And this is exactly what you want.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, because if you treat your boss like an obstacle, they're going to be an obstacle.
Absolutely.
If you treat them like a resource, they're going to feel obligated to be a resource.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Very good.
Imagine being needed and not providing what you're needed for.
Right.
And you are in a position of leadership. They are definitely not going to hold back. They will start thinking that you are of value and you want to get better, you want to improve, and you need my help in order to figure out a roadmap. At this point, they are going to act 100%.
And it also build that relationship without knowing it too, which is important. All right. Last question. It says, can you share any personal experiences or success stories where you've had to manage a difficult conversation with the boss, and what was the outcome?
That's a very good one. This is out of personal experience. I had a leader before, or a boss, that I didn't really see them much often.
Right.
And it was months before I had a sit down with them, just regular coaching or regular conversation. And by that time, I always had that question on my mind, is like, why are they not seeing me? Why are they not following up with me? Am I really of value to them or not? And then after 3 months, it happened. We sat down, and before that conversation, I started thinking like, shall I bring it up? Shall I bring it up? Shall I bring it up? And then I started thinking of my responsibilities. Can I really afford not to get better or not? And the first idea that came to me was like, I can't afford that. I want to get better at my job. I want to progress in my career. I want to have a good relationship with my boss.
Yeah.
So although we didn't have a really good relationship at the time, and I really felt that he wasn't supportive enough, I really collected myself and came up with the courage to actually ask him, it's been months and I really needed you. Why did you not feel the need to come and sit with me and talk, just to regularly coach? And his response was shocking. His response was, I really didn't feel that you needed it, that you didn't ask for it, so I didn't provide it. I felt that you are trying to figure things on your own, which I actually was, and that's why I didn't provide it. And in my mind, my first response that I wanted to give him is like, how could you think that? How could you even imagine that I wouldn't need guidance?
Right.
But what happened is that he took a step back. Was he right to take a step back? No, I will not say that he was right. But at the same time, once I brought it up, it kind of struck an idea in his mind, is that, okay, finally you are asking, okay? And I'm not saying this to tell you guys that you should hold the entire responsibility of actually moving this boss to help you. They have to have a certain level of engagement in order to regularly coach with you or regularly mentor with you. But in this case or this scenario, we're talking about a challenging or an unsupportive boss by nature. Of course, not all bosses are like that, but if you're faced with one like that, sometimes they need that level of communication, because at the end of the day, you have a goal in mind. You want to get better.
Yes.
And you want to get promoted, and you will do whatever it takes in order to get to that point, even if it's dealing with an unsupportive boss like that and having to lead the way into the discussion or the conversation. Now, after that, of course, everybody's waiting for me to say things dramatically improved, right?
Right.
Did they? Didn't. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't dramatically improve.
Right.
But you know what improved?
What's that?
My mind. My mind definitely has improved. I started to be more communicative. Did I like working with him in the future? No, I didn't. But did I get more in the future? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And that's what was important to me, is that I have received more support or more coaching or more discussion in the future from a boss that I thought was unsupportive and challenging, and he continued to be that way, but I still got a lot out of it after that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story. We don't share many personal stories here, so I really like that question. Thank you guys for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stick around and check out next week's video. We've got something really amazing prepared for you guys. Once again, if you haven't visited our website, go to aspirecareerservices.com. Check it out and get started for free, guys. All of our plans, you can start with the 30-day free trial, and we even have a completely free plan. And these videos are included in it. So thank you guys, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Pro Insight video series. We hope you found it valuable and insightful. Don't forget to join us next week for a new topic and more expert advice. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and keep thriving in your career. Aspire Career Services, LLC, guiding careers, cultivating leaders.